Okay, so what got you back in the studio? What brought you back to your first love?
Actually, I had moved back to my hometown, LaGrange, Georgia, and I was just out of, I don't know if this was, the guy that owned this studio was an atheist, and so my boy Mark would definitely not say it's not a God thing, but I kind of feel differently because just out of the blue one day, my mom comes over and she's like, there's a studio about a mile down the road in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere. There's just this guy, Mark Turnham, had built a studio, and just he basically was an electrical engineer for Gillette, for Duracell batteries, and he got tired of the rat race, and he just moved out to the country and decided he was a British guy. He decided to build a studio out in the middle of nowhere. And he didn't really have any clientele for it. And then it just so happened I moved back to town right around that same time. If that's not a God thing or an energy flow thing or some kind of shit, like, then I don't know what is. And so I started back, and it was a top-notch studio. He was learning as an engineer, and I was definitely knocking a lot of rust off as far as the music I was doing, but it got me started back going because it was so accessible, so close.
Got you. So at that point you find this is the thing that's been missing in my life. I haven't been in the studio for a year and a half, 2 years.
It's a creative outlet, you know what I'm saying? Like I always tell people, if it wasn't for hip hop, if it wasn't for having this creative outlet, I would have blown my own brains out many, many years ago.
Really?
Yeah, this is therapy, you know what I'm saying? At this point in life, I don't do this, I love it, man. Like, first of all, let me say that. Let me preface it by saying that I love the function of just being creative, period, but of rhyming, of writing rhymes, of making songs, songwriting. I love it, you know what I'm saying? But to take it a step further, it's not just maybe when I was married, I'm divorced now. I think maybe this was one of the issues that me and my ex-wife had. Is like, I think subconsciously in her mind, she looked at me being a rapper as something that I would eventually outgrow. And so finally, at some point, I had to be like, look, I don't, as long as my mental faculties allow it, as long as I'm capable of writing and recording rap songs, I'm going to be doing it. I don't fuck all that. I know there's this whole mindset or this whole outlook on rappers, like you age out of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like old people, man, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be 83 years old rapping and you can suck my dick if you don't like it. Period. Like, and that's just what it's gonna be because it's a function of my spirit. It truly is. It's not a hobby. It's not a job. It's like Jay-Z said when he said, "Get a grip, bitch. This is how I get through life." This is truly how I get through life. It's my therapy. It's my therapist every time I cut that microphone on.
So I gotta ask you, you get back into music, and I know that you relapsed a couple of times. You said that you have been in rehab for at least 3 times in your life.
Yeah.
How difficult? Because you getting back in the club scene, you got to make a living.
That's it.
How difficult was it for you to even juggle sobriety? And I'm in the same. Because they tell you in rehab, you got to change people, places, and things.
Are you in recovery?
I'm not, but I know, far too many people who have suffered from addiction.
Here's the thing, man. I was clean for a long, extended period of time, in the program. And I had started, like you said, that's how I make a living. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else in this world that I've found yet that I can do that even begins to approach the type of money I can make by touring, you know what I'm saying? Like on a yearly basis. I mean, it's one of my top 3 or 4 definite revenue streams. And so when I think about, there was a time in like 2013, 2012, around there where I started back doing shows. And I had quite a bit of clean time and I'd say a pretty solid recovery. You know what I'm saying? Clean time and recovery aren't the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I had a pretty quality recovery going. And I knew there had come a time where going in them damn sweaty ass nightclubs and performing, it it became excruciating to me. It really did. You know what I'm saying? Just being around drunk motherfuckers and having to just, because I wasn't on a private plane level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you can take the whole, program with you on the private plane and you go do, you know what I'm saying? That's, everybody eats fruit and gets their toes done and all that shit. That's one thing. But when you just got to thug it out, you know what I'm saying? You still going in these clubs and in these environments, you know what I'm saying? And not to mention you got to be swiveled up because of what might happen. But beyond that, like, everybody's just partying, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you actually have to, kick it and just be present and talk to. And it just reached a point, honestly, and it ultimately it is an excuse because it just came down to the fact that I didn't want to stay clean as much as I wanted to get fucked up at the particular times I relapsed. But it reached a point where I really felt like I was about to kill myself clean because there just had to be more to life than that. You know what I'm saying? There just had to be more. I had to be able to find a way to get more joy out of life than what I was getting. In that maybe I just hadn't quite stuck around until the miracle happens, the spiritual transformation happens, whatever. But I know that that's probably the most miserable I've ever been in my life. And I had well over a year clean time.
So the most miserable that you've ever been in your life, you were actually clean.
I'd say it's right up there. Yeah, you could definitely say that. It's definitely one of the top 2 or 3 most miserable periods of my life. I mean, it's hard to say because there's some of those times withdrawing off opiates and in jail and shit. That's pretty bad too. But it's up there. It was bad, man.
Bubba, that's a profound statement. And I gotta imagine your day-to-day life must have been. I mean, living is hard, it ain't easy, getting up and trying to make things happen in the world. But you at this time are struggling. I'm miserable clean, but I know I can't go get high again. What was it? What was the change? What was the thing that happened that made you finally say, yo, F it. I'm going back.
Well, I was willing to roll the dice on, I'm about to have some drinks, but I'm not going to go back to those pills. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a familiar story. You know what I'm saying? That's a likely story. That's the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's how the disease, based on the thinking of the disease methodology and the belief, inside the program of 12-step programs is that, that's the trick the disease pulls on you. It tricks you into, opening up this door when, really behind that door is the same thing that's behind all the other doors. You just went in a different door. And so, but for me, I have to say, drinking I'm the kind of person, if you just give me cheeseburgers, I can eat so many cheeseburgers that becomes a problem. If you just give me a casino, I can make that be a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so if I'm just like, all I have is this alcohol, there was a time where I drank enough to make, okay, I'm just a problem drinker. I'm an alcoholic, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm an addict encompasses all that. But, I was drinking a lot, but I never did make it back. And so that allowed me to say, at least to hold on to that card of saying, dang, I kept my word. I didn't go back. I ain't strung back out on pills. You know what I'm saying? So, but I am a raging alcoholic at a certain time, but I'm just not strung out on pills,